Good morning everyone. It's winter right now and the garden might seem dead, but first of all it isn't, and second of all we aren't. So we can still do things even though the garden is kinda dead. But first of all, as I said, it isn't. The thing is, the microbes are still in the ground, they're still working, just a lot slower basically. So compost is still being made, but it's just much slower. And other things that are happening is, for example, the frost in the ground. When the ground freezes, the water that is stuck in the soil actually expands, because you know when water freezes it expands by like 9% or something, I think. So then, you know, if you have really clay soil like I do, the moisture in the like clay blocks just expands and it can actually, you know, destroy it to make the structure better. So that's a very good thing. And also, for example, earthworms, they actually still work. They're just down in the ground where there's no frost, and they don't really die of the cold. They die more of the lack of oxygen and the water, you know, drowning basically. But another thing that's good in the winter, especially here on Gotland in the south of Sweden, is that the most rains come here in the winter. I know it's like that in Spain too. You can see the Spanish flag. I've done my research, I guess. But more water basically filters through the ground in the winter, because the soil is not hydrophobic, because when soil dries it actually becomes hydrophobic, which is pretty weird, but that's just how it is. So the ground is wet right now and water can go down and charge the groundwater, which is very good. So you can irrigate. I mean, you shouldn't. It's better to use dam water than to use fresh water from the ground that we should drink instead. But that's something you can think about. If we only had dry summer, you wouldn't have any water left, I guess. So you have to see it from a good perspective, because everything has good and bad sides to it. I mean, yin yang, when there's light there's dark and stuff like that. So the winter you can't really call it bad. I mean, plants don't grow right now, but it would also be kinda boring if we only had summer. I think you would get tired of it. I mean, here I have a temperate climate, but in countries closer to the equator you of course don't have as much change in the seasons. You have more of a baseline, and I haven't lived in another country, so I can't really say if it is like that. But if you are from a more subtropical or tropical climate, then please tell me if it's actually like that, or if you think it's nice to have sun all the time and rain, I guess. Now the second part that I said earlier is that we can still do things. You know, it's not as fun to be in the garden right now. It's literally 3 o'clock and the sun is almost down. I think it sets in like half an hour or something, which is sad. I mean, you don't really get as much daylight right now. But you know, as you can see in the background, we can have the lights, and Christmas is coming around soon, so decorate your house and you have light and warmth, you know, with your family. Which is very beautiful, I think, to, you know, spend time with family. But even though it's cold outside, it's warm in our hearts. And I hope you feel the same way. Spend time with your family. And if you don't celebrate Christmas, also spend time with people you love. That's very important. Now I'm gonna talk about some things that you can do in the garden in the winter, and some things that I have done. The first thing is, you know, prepare the beds, because after the summer they may be kind of crazy, so just prep them right now and you don't have to do it in the spring, so you can really get to planting right away. And since compost still works in the ground, you know, the microbes are active even in the winter, just slower, it can still be better to just prepare the ground before you plant in the spring. So after you have put compost or whatever you want in the ground, you can cover it with straw. I love straw, it looks so good. Like, I have used sawdust, but it's not that nice and not as good. But straw just looks very professional. And other things you can do in the winter is you can prepare your tools. You can give them a wash, polish them and sharpen them. So then you have nice tools good to go in the spring. And also you can just go over your irrigation if you have any, to just check that everything works before the winter. Well, now it's winter, so it may be freezing for some of you. Right here it's actually not freezing, but if you are above 0 degrees Celsius, then you can, for example, empty your tanks, like I have in the background here. I emptied it kind of too late because it was freezing, and you know, it could have broke, but it wasn't freezing for so long. There was ice in it, but when the temperatures rose over 0 again, it thawed out. Now the next thing you can do is to prune your trees. And winter is actually the best time for dormant trees, because they're not growing and it will be better for them when they start growing. But I will make a separate video about that. But anyway, that's something that's good to do. Now the last thing that I think you should do, you should try at least, is to grow indoors with garden lights. And actually a lot of the times you don't even need real grow lights. You can use normal lights, but they have to be strong and a certain temperature. And I'm gonna make a video about that. I'm gonna try to see how it really compares to a real grow light. And when growing indoors, I really like to grow hydroponically, which for those of you who don't know is when you grow in water with nutrients in the water. So you should really give it a try. I have some videos about hydroponics, and actually I have a hydroponic system in the greenhouse too that isn't with any grow lights, but it's simply just buckets, and I have a video about it, so you can watch that. And it's been going so good. I got so many cucumbers and not a lot of tomatoes, but I think that has more to do with the variety and the pruning. And also I planted them kinda late. But yeah, that's basically everything I had for this video. I really hope you found it inspiring, and I hope that you can, you know, not just go be inside, you can be outside in the winter too. I like being outside in the winter. It's actually pretty nice, especially when there's snow, but right now there isn't a lot. But if you have snow, then be outside in the snow, it's really nice. But essentially this is just a quick reminder to do things even in the winter, when you might have less inspiration and motivation in the garden, but you can do other things. You can read, you know, educate yourself, that's very good. And you can do things indoors. So that was everything. And you're probably seeing that the sun is going down right now. It's probably much darker right now than in the beginning of the video, but the lights are staying strong. So go ahead and install some Christmas lights, because it's so nice. I installed this in a greenhouse a couple of weeks ago, and I think it looks really nice. So yeah, that was everything. So subscribe if you like gardening, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.